I still remember that night like it was burned into my memory, the smell of expensive perfume, the sound of clinking glasses, and the way she looked at me with that half-smile that wasn't love anymore, just calculation. "Babe," she said, brushing her hair behind her ear, "you're so lucky to have met my friends. They don't hang out with just anyone." I laughed nervously, thinking she was joking. "Yeah, I can tell they seem fancy." She smirked. "Fancy? They're successful, driven, high class. You're working on it." That stung, but I didn't say anything. I was already in over my head with her, Julia, the woman who could make any man feel like he'd won the lottery just by being near her. We'd been dating for almost a year. I was a software technician at a mid-level company, nothing special, earning decent money but far from her luxurious world. Julia, on the other hand, worked in PR, always surrounded by people with money, influence, and that effortless confidence that made me feel small sometimes. When she invited me to meet her friends, I thought it was a big step, a sign that she wanted something serious. But looking back, that dinner was never about introducing me, it was about testing me. We met at an upscale restaurant downtown, the kind where the menu doesn't have prices because if you have to ask, you shouldn't be there. Her friends arrived one by one: Mark, a lawyer; Vanessa, an influencer with 500,000 followers; and Chris, who apparently managed wealth for high-end clients. They greeted Julia like royalty and me, well, like a background character. "So," Vanessa said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, "Julia tells us you work in tech support." Software diagnostics," I corrected. "I handle." "Oh," she interrupted, turning back to Julia, "that's cute." Cute, that word hit harder than it should have. Julia didn't even defend me, she just sipped her wine, eyes flicking toward me as if to say, "Don't embarrass me." I laughed it off, but something inside me twisted. The conversation that night was all about vacations, cars, and investment portfolios. I sat there nodding like an idiot while they talked about brands I couldn't pronounce. At one point, Chris leaned forward. "Julia, remember that time in Cabo when your card maxed out and we had to cover the yacht bill?" She laughed, touching his arm lightly. "Oh my God, don't remind me." That touch lingered too long. I noticed. I noticed everything. When the waiter came with the check, Julia didn't even look at it. She just turned to me and said, "You got this, right?" I froze. Sure," I said quietly. The total was more than my rent. As I hesitated, she leaned close and whispered, "Don't make a scene. You're lucky to even be here. My friends are watching." That line, "You're lucky to even be here," it cracked something inside me. I paid, of course I paid. I didn't want to look weak, but when we left the restaurant, I could barely look at her. She laughed and linked her arm through mine. "See, that wasn't so bad." "Julia," I said carefully, "that was my entire paycheck. You could have warned me." "Oh, come on," she scoffed. "You should be proud to treat your girlfriend and her friends. That's what a real man does." A real man. I didn't say another word the whole drive home. That night, as she slept peacefully beside me, I sat on the edge of the bed staring at her. Beautiful, confident, cold. I realized she didn't see me as her equal, I was her accessory. And I was starting to hate it. The next few weeks were worse. Julia started comparing me to her friends' partners, subtly at first, then openly. "Vanessa's boyfriend just bought her a Cartier bracelet. You've never even taken me to Paris." "Chris took his girlfriend to a spa in Bali. You could at least try." Every time she said it, my chest tightened a little more. But I still tried. I worked overtime, skipped lunches, and saved up for months just to surprise her with a weekend getaway to a luxury resort. When I told her, she smiled faintly. That's nice, but is it 5-star?" I almost laughed. "Julia, it's one of the top resorts in the city." "Yeah," she said, scrolling through her phone, "but my friends usually stay at the Hillside Grand. This one looks budget." I clenched my jaw. Budget. That weekend, she spent more time taking selfies than actually spending time with me. And every time her phone buzzed, she smiled a little too brightly. I finally asked, "Who are you texting so much?" She rolled her eyes. "My friends, obviously, don't be so insecure." But something was off. That night, she took a shower and left her phone on the bed. A message popped up from Chris. "Chris had fun tonight, hope he didn't suspect anything." My hands went cold. I scrolled more messages. photos, inside jokes, private meetups. She'd been seeing him behind my back for months. I couldn't breathe. When she came out of the shower, I was sitting there with her phone in my hand. Care to explain? I asked quietly. Her face drained of color for a second, then she recovered fast. Oh, come on, you're overreacting, we're just friends. Friends who hide messages like this, I said, showing her the screen. She grabbed the phone, annoyed. You shouldn't be snooping, that's toxic behavior. Julia, you've been lying to me. She crossed her arms. Maybe if you were more on my level, I wouldn't need to talk to someone who understands me. That line hit me harder than any punch. I just stood there, heart pounding, realizing that all this time, every dinner, every insult, every comparison, she had been preparing her exit. That night I packed my things and left. She didn't stop me, didn't even ask where I was going. I drove aimlessly until sunrise, replaying every moment in my head, the fake smiles, the dinner bill, the way she said I should be grateful. But I wasn't done yet. Because she might have broken my heart, but she underestimated my patience. And the next time she'd see me, I wouldn't be the man she pitied, I'd be the man she regretted losing. After that night, everything in me shifted. The man who left Julia's apartment wasn't the same one who walked in a year ago, blinded by her smile and her world of luxury. I was done being her project. Done being humiliated. Done being her lucky one. For the first few weeks it was hell. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her laughing at that dinner table, telling her friends how lucky I was just to be there. But pain has a strange way of turning into power if you let it. And that's exactly what I did. I threw myself into work. Overtime, freelance projects, certifications. Every hour I used to spend chasing her attention, I spent building myself. At first it was just survival. Then it became obsession. In 6 months I was promoted twice. I led a new project. One that would later get acquired by a major tech firm. My salary tripled. My confidence finally caught up with my potential. But I didn't post about it. Didn't brag. I went quiet. Because I knew one thing about Julia, she lived for social media. And silence drives people like her insane. Sure enough, a few months later, I got a message from her. Julia, hey stranger, face blowing a kiss, long time, how have you been? I stared at the screen, almost laughing. The audacity. I didn't reply. 2 days later, she sent another message. Julia, I heard about your promotion, that's amazing, so proud of you, blue heart. Then another. Julia, would love to catch up sometime, maybe dinner. Dinner. The irony wasn't lost on me. I ignored her again. But fate or karma had other plans. A month later, I was invited to a tech networking gala downtown. A big deal, the kind of event where business meets luxury. Guess who was there? Julia. She walked in wearing a shimmering gold dress, holding Chris's arm like a trophy. For a second our eyes met. Her smile faltered. Then she put it back on, that fake, perfect smile. Chris looked different, older, stressed. I'd later find out he'd lost his biggest client and was knee-deep in debt. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor. During the event, our paths crossed by accident. Julia gasped softly, "Oh my God, Ryan." I turned slowly. Julia, hey. She tilted her head, eyes scanning my tailored suit. Wow, you clean up nice. I smiled, guess I finally found the right level, huh? Her cheeks flushed. Chris shifted uncomfortably beside her. What are you doing here? She asked, pretending to sound casual. Oh, I'm part of the keynote team, I said. Our company partnered with the hosts this year. Her eyes widened. Wait, your company? Yeah, I said simply. I'm heading the innovation division now. Her smile faltered again. That's impressive. Before she could say more, the event director came up and said, Mr. Carter, we're ready for your segment. Mr. Carter. I'll never forget how her eyes flicked between me and the director, realization dawning. Excuse me, I said with a polite smile, I've got to get to work. As I walked to the stage, I felt something shift inside me, not pride, not revenge, but closure. For the first time, I didn't need her to see my worth. Because I already did. But Julia wasn't done. The next morning she texted again. Julia, you looked amazing last night, we should talk, I miss you. I finally replied. Me, I'm sure you do, but I don't think Chris would appreciate that. Julia, we broke up, he wasn't the man I thought he was. I almost laughed, guess you finally met someone on your level then. Silence. Then came the last message. Julia, can we at least be friends? I typed slowly. Me, you once told me I was lucky to meet your friends, but I realized I was unlucky to meet you. And with that I blocked her. That should have been the end of it. But Karma once again wasn't finished with her story. A year later I was scrolling through social media and saw her name trending. Apparently, her PR firm had been caught in a massive scandal falsifying data for clients. She lost her job, her apartment, everything. A small part of me felt sorry for her. But mostly I felt peace. Because life has a way of teaching lessons you don't have to deliver yourself. Fast forward to today, I'm engaged to someone who values me, not my income, not my status. She's kind, humble, and laughs at my stupid jokes instead of mocking them. One night while we were out to dinner, she reached for the bill. I smiled, I got it. She shook her head, we'll split it, fair's fair. And in that moment, I realized something. Love isn't about who's on a higher level. It's about meeting halfway, equal, real, and honest. So yeah, Julia was right about one thing. I was lucky. Just not the way she thought.